CHVRCHES, Screen Violence, Album Review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about the latest album from CHVRCHES, Scottish indie pop and synth pop trio. And they sort of exploded onto the scene with their big, bubbly, anthemic debut album, The Bones of What You Believe. And at first I just kind of thought it was average, but it's actually grown a lot on me ever since. There's actually some material on there that reminds me of some old school M83 in a weird way. But between singles like Gun and The Mother We Share, I thought they were up to a good start. And honestly, I enjoyed their next album, Every Open Eye, a little bit more. Choruses were gigantic and the beats just kept going harder and harder. It also had some of their best singles to date, like Leave a Trace and Clear as Blue. Now, as much as I did enjoy it, though, there were some red flags. When there were bad tracks on here, they were some of the worst tracks that CHVRCHES has ever put to tape by far. High enough to carry over you, I'm looking directly at you. So yeah, I had a bad taste in my mouth with tracks like that. Then I hear their follow-up album, Love Is Dead. I ranked this as the second worst album of the year when it came out. This was barely even a synth pop album anymore. This just tried to be a crossover pop album with a little edge to it, and it was genuinely laughable. Now, these new singles may not be perfect, but I thought they were a step in the right direction. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with Asking for a Friend. I think this is a fantastic intro. I love how vast and cinematic this is. A lot of this album is just that. I mean, we are 30 seconds into the album, and there is so much more material already in 30 seconds. It is so much more passion-filled and heartfelt than anything on Love Is Dead. I love the icy synths and just how human and personal the lyrics are. I could say that about a lot of the album, too. I mean, I was worried to see that they were starting out with a plus 5-minute track, but it goes really hard. I love the synth beat that pops in, and they do a good job of keeping my interest. Also, Lauren Mayberry's performance is just fantastic. And as far as the single goes, I think He Said, She Said's the best track here. Not only that, I think it's one of the best the band has put out in years. I love the icy synth melodies and just, once again, how personal and the human touch of some of these lyrics. It's also just really infectious. Violent Delights is good enough to be a single. I love the throwback 80s vibes and that huge chorus here. And you know what? Once again, it's very gritty. It's very real. And that's something that I'm kind of shocked to see. And once again, it is very cinematic. And also, once again, this track, takes its time. It's over 5 minutes. I would not have been excited for that if you told me that a few months ago, but they do a really good job with it. I'm just glad to hear CHVRCHES are making some anthems again. While this is a much, much, much better album, I still think they have some room to get back on track when there are some pretty bland tracks on here. California is definitely one of them. This track is just so friggin' melodramatic and overly emotional. This is the kind of stuff that would have come off on Love Is Dead and I just would have rolled my eyes at. I mean, lyrically, it certainly has some merit to it. But outside of that, it's just so stiff. It's, it's a very human track lyrically, but there's no passion behind it. It's just so robotic and cold. Since it dropped, I haven't been that into How Not to Drown featuring Robert Smith of The Cure. I mean, I still think it's much more dynamic and certainly more visceral than anything on their last album. But this just sort of plods along and it's not too exciting, not even when Robert Smith comes in. And while I'm at it, I'm not that into Good Girls either. It's certainly better, but it's certainly lessened on me since it dropped. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's catchy, it's got a big hook, but so many other tracks on here have that, but are just so much more captivating and bold. I expect more because I know they can do more. And I think Lullabies is the worst track here. I mean, it's certainly touching down on some deep topics. I respect that. But this dime a dozen beat and the sleepy performance that we get here, just not interesting. Chorus stinks. There's no passion again. This is like a synth pop wasteland. Outside of that, though, while not perfect, CHVRCHES are certainly back in my good graces, and I feel like they're once again just a synth pop band that I don't mind rooting for. Pound for pound, Final Girl, I think it's the best track here. I love the bulky beat and the airy synths that we get here, as well as some of the horror references that we get, some of the, fictional horror and the real life horror as well. But despite how freaking bleak this is, we do get another gigantic chorus. Nightmares is a really solid deep cut as well. Between the pacing here and the synths, there's a really alarming track. It's also dark. like really, really dark, and in one of the genuinely the most dangerous sounding tracks that Churches has ever put out. I'd love to hear more of that. I mean, it's practically industrial at times, but it never gets campy. And while I wasn't originally too wildly into it, I think Better If You Don't is a really great finale. At first, I did think it was a little underdone, but I love the hypnotic riff here, and I love some of the more organic instrumentation that we get in here as well. There is some acoustic strumming, and honestly, as far as the performance goes, this might be Lauren's best here. And outside of that, this just does a really good job of, summing up the thoughts of this album. So look, Churches, I don't think came out with their biggest and best album here. I still think they've done better work in the past, but this is miles better than anything I thought we were going to get on this album. After Love Is Dead, I had zero hopes for this album. Churches, for me, on this album get so much more back on track. They are writing big hooks again. They are writing pop anthems again, and they just seem to be on a great track, and maybe can do something even bigger and bolder, and maybe even heavier in the future. But yeah, I'm liking this. I'm feeling a light 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.